Hey guys, welcome to Electronic Dance Money, your number one business resource for making money as electronic musicians and producers. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Electronic Dance Money. I'm your host, Christian Casito. I hope everyone had a great Christmas and a happy New Year. I know mine was pretty good. My girlfriend actually got me an upgrade to Cubase 10.5. I'm so excited. I use Cubase for my DAW. I've been running 8.0 since... like 2015, I think. Yeah, about 2015, maybe 2014. And so I've been needing an upgrade for a while. And man, Cubase 10.5 is powerful. It's got some really awesome stuff in it. I'm so excited. So I've been playing with for the past couple of days. And it's just so great. I'm hoping to get Ableton. I'm just going to get the basic one because I can slave Cubase to it so I can use some cool Ableton stuff while I mix, master, and produce a little. Super exciting. Really hope you guys had a good Christmas. Like I said, mine was awesome. But we're back at it. We're getting back to work. Getting out of the lazy holiday vacation time. I know it's a really difficult phase for me to get out of. I'm sure you're the same. You know, those days that I just take off and they seem to pile up. It's hard to get back into a groove. It's one of the reasons why I hate vacations. I like vacations, but I hate them at the exact same time because however long I take vacation for, usually takes double that amount of time for me to actually get back into the mood of working and actually getting into that motivational stage again. It takes a while. I hate it. But I love vacation. I love the holidays, but I hate them at the same time. It's a brutal back and forth. But let's get back to the show and what are we going to be talking about today? One of the most important things to doubling your income, whether you are just a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer, you ghost produce, you produce for yourself and you're just wanting to build fans and tour, whether you sell sound packs, sample packs, you do tutorials, you make courses for production, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is you do in the industry. This is the topic that's going to significantly help double your income. What is that? That's your workflow. If your workflow isn't set up properly, you can kiss making a good or decent wage in the industry goodbye. So, how can improving your workflow double your income? Well, first of all, speeding up your workflow in and of itself and how you work so you can get things done sooner is immediately going to double how much you're making per hour. Let's say it takes you 10 hours to produce a full track for a client. Now, if you were to start implementing the right systems and the right automation tactics and the right workflow tactics, you will start to slowly see that the time it takes you to work on a track as you implement systems and expand on them and improve them, it'll take you less and less time to work on that track. If you can get that down to 4 hours, you've now doubled your income for that. Let's say a client is paying you $1,000. It would normally take you 10 hours to work on the track, but you've improved your systems over the past 3 or 4 months, and now it takes you 5 hours, but they've already paid you the $1,000 for that project. Takes you half as long. You've now increased your income by double. You are now making $2,000 for what you would normally make for that 10-hour period. So this is a very significant thing in our case as entrepreneurs or people within the electronic music scene where we want to fund what we want to do on the side or our being an artist, whatever it is you want to do. Your workflow is going to come into play so much for you to make more dollars per hour. How else can workflow double your income? Well, 2, simplifying your process so you spend less time doing non-essential tasks. This is fairly similar to speeding things up. So if you can simplify a task that's non-essential, so for me, a lot of the times it's like emails, replying to emails. If I have email templates set up, that way I don't have to type out that email every time. If it takes me 5 minutes to type out a reply that I consistently get every day or every other day or every week, that 5 minutes builds up over a year. Let's do the math real quick. 3 days out of the week, I'm getting the same email that I have to type the same response. We're going to get 15. Now let's multiply that by 52 weeks. That's 780 minutes or 13 hours. It's 13 hours a year. Now, if I make $100 an hour, that's $1,300 that I'm losing just from typing emails. Now, I'm not just specifically talking about emails here. I'm talking about things in your workflow while you're producing. If you have unorganized samples and you're spending 10 minutes to find one sample, and you do that with a kick, with a clap, with a snare, with hi-hats, with shakers, or you even do that with sounds, you know how much time you're going to be wasting in each session? Next thing you know, what would normally take 6, maybe 7 hours to produce a whole track, it takes 20 hours. That's 13 hours in one project. And if you make one track a week, or maybe even one track a month, that's 13 hours out of your month you're losing. That if you were to spend, an hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week to organize these kinds of things, you're going to save yourself so much more time, and in the long run, save yourself so much more money, especially when you start getting down to the nitty-gritty of deciding that what you want to do is a business, and in order for it to run properly, you need to make money. In order to make money, you need things to run properly. You need good systems. You need a good workflow. Now, the third topic about how your workflow can double your income is by automating tasks to work for you, allowing you to spend less time, again, on non-essential tasks. So the common theme here is that we want to eliminate non-essential tasks that we don't need to do. Things that are very repetitive, that if we maybe set a key binding for, by clicking that key binding, you might save yourself a few seconds, 3, 4, or 5 seconds, but those seconds add up. We need to reduce the time we're spending on non-essential tasks. So these are the 3 things, if done properly and worked on consistently, will very quickly double your income by helping you spend less time on these non-essential tasks or repetitive tasks that you can get automated or simplified. What exactly can you adjust currently in your workflow that can allow you to double your income? Well, as I've already stated multiple times, automating non-essential tasks. And I've already given an example of that. One example that I'm sure many of you guys use, but if improved on, will astronomically reduce the amount of time you're spending on non-essential tasks, are key bindings or key mapping things within your project. A lot of DAWs have this in place in your program. You can set up key bindings for specific things. You can hit Control SE, and what it'll do is it'll save the project and then export the track out. Immediately, you spend way less time than going to file, save, file, export, track, blah, blah, blah. If you can just hit 3 keys and spend 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 seconds less than you normally would, that adds up so much over time, especially if you're working on a lot of tracks. You can do this with a lot of things within your program. You can set things up for recording or pulling up a VST, adding a new instrument, and then adding in another VST and pulling that up when you hit a specific key binding. The point is that all the little things that you do within your project should be automated. If you can automate it, you should automate it. You'll spend less time working on a project, you'll get things done faster, and nothing is more important than finishing more tracks or finishing up just a project that you've been working on for maybe it's a client. So if you've gone as far as you can with key bindings or key mappings within your DAW, there's a couple programs that I highly recommend you get. Now, if you're on a Mac, which I'm sure a lot of you are, Better Touch Tool is a great program that lets you completely automate anything you do. You can create different triggers so that when you click something, it'll start to export your track. Once it's done exporting, grab that file location, open up Google Chrome, open up SoundCloud, and start uploading to SoundCloud. Very useful. You can set this up for autoresponders as well for emails. Just about anything you can automate or delegate or non-essential tasks that you don't want to do, you can automate through Better Touch Tool. Now, this is just with Mac. However, there are alternatives for Windows. One of the more big ones is AutoHotkey, and it's a free program. It takes a little bit of scripting to learn, but once you learn it, you can automate anything with it. You can write your own customized scripts that completely automizes your entire process. I would love to see the amount of time you guys have spent on saving a project, exporting it, uploading it to Dropbox, and then uploading it to SoundCloud, or just uploading it to SoundCloud. The amount of time you spend clicking on things, typing things in, and then hitting enter, doing that multiple times. I know for me, when I would save a project, export that project, and upload it to SoundCloud, it would take me 5 to 10 minutes to do. And I was doing that 2, 3, 4 times a week, especially when I was working on a new project. That's almost an hour a week. If you're spending an hour a week just exporting and uploading, I mean, that's 52 hours in a year. That's over 2 days that you've spent just uploading, just typing things in and uploading. So it's programs like these that are going to make your life so much better, so much faster. You'll get things done way quicker. And as the saying goes, time is money. When you can reduce the amount of time you're spending on something, especially if it's a paid project, you're going to make more per hour. It allows you to be opened up for more projects and implement those projects in your workflow. So you're significantly increasing your dollar per hour, how much you make. This is so vital to you as a producer, especially if you're getting into the business side of being a producer. Now, the second half of automating non-essential tasks is completely built into your DAW, and we've talked about this before. And I'm going to hammer this point home because I see so many producers ignoring this essential topic, and it's templates. I talk about templates so much because of how important they are. You should have a template for everything. If you're producing, you should have a production template with every single VST that you constantly use to use your sounds. Serum, Spire, Nexus, Virus, whatever it is that you're using, Silent, Massive. If you consistently use those and open those up every time and you find yourself designing more sounds in that VST should already be loaded up. If you constantly have 4 lead layers, you should have 4 leads set up in your template, which all have your VST that you're constantly using. Serum or Massive, those should already be there. So you just, when you start a new project, you're hitting production template, it's opening up. You've got a section for your kick, your snare, your clap, your side chains, your leads, your bass sounds, whatever groups you have, whatever buses you have, whatever. If you use a compressor on your kick every single time, that compressor should be set up with the same preset that you use every time, and then make minor adjustments to whatever new kick sample you're using. Whatever you have on your master out, that should already be on your production template to test things. Again, this is such a vital thing that producers ignore. And if you're constantly spending time opening up a blank project and adding stuff in and starting to work on stuff, and you just constantly open the same thing up every single time, you're wasting your time doing that. And on top of that, nothing is better than when you have an organized template and project set up with color-coded things that makes it feel like the project is alive and moving. I don't want to go too much further into this topic because I think we nailed a bit of it in episode 9, which is about time management and how to finish more tracks. I do a pretty deep dive in templates on that episode. So let's get into simplifying your process. What can you do to help simplify the things that you do? I think most of the people listening to these episodes are more than likely producers. It's geared towards electronic music producers. So, what are some things you can do to simplify your everyday tasks that you do as a producer? This is weekly reviews of the things we mentioned before. Working on your templates to make them more efficient, working on key bindings and mappings that can make things more efficient and simplify things. Having sound design sessions. This is another topic talked about in the time management episode. Taking times for downloading samples and organizing them. Don't do this while you're producing. Do it on the side. Now, the other thing is as you start to become more successful, you can start outsourcing more things. This is a very key point to simplifying your process and taking things off of your back, making it so you do fewer things so that you can do more of what you want to do, is outsourcing things. If you want to produce music and you just want to produce and you're not good at mixing or you're not good at mastering, you just want to produce, you just want to write music, then hire a mixing engineer or a mastering engineer. If that's not something you want to do, don't do it. Now, the book that I'm going to bring up for this section is called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I think it's Papasan, maybe Papasan. But The One Thing is, it's such an important book for just about anyone to read because it makes life easier. It makes your process simple. It makes what you need to do so much more simple than how you put it out into the world. Now, the one question that is asked in The One Thing, and I've got the book right here, I'm going to read from it. Now, part of the one thing that Gary Keller brings up is the one question that you should be asking that will help you figure out the one thing that you should be doing at any given time. And the point of the book is, what can you do to make everything else easier or unnecessary? And that goes into this topic of eliminating non-essential things so that you focus on just the thing that you're supposed to be doing. So the question is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? What is the one thing that you want to be doing? Another topic that they go into the book with is finding out what your one thing is. And when you find out what your one thing is, you want to think big and specific. Big and specific meaning, your big dream or your big goal. And specific being a date when you want to set that. You can do this with many things throughout your life. Big and specific could be 2-3 months. Now, if you are saying you want to be a touring producer and you have only been working at this for 2 or 3 years, you could say, I want to be touring in 6 months, but it's also important to be realistic. So I think maybe setting a goal for maybe 2 years is a good one, but it's big. That one's big and it's specific. And then you can get into the steps that you need to take to do those things. And as I'm sure most of you probably have the goal or dream of being a touring artist, what goes into that is making sure you have good tracks. The only way to get good tracks is to finish more tracks. The only way to finish more tracks is to spend less time working on tracks. And the only way to spend less time working on tracks is by simplifying your process, automating non-essential tasks, and fueling this workflow so that everything is streamlined and done so much faster. The point of me bringing up this book is if you ask the one big question, it's you want to produce music, you just want to produce music. That's it. You're not great at mixing, you're not great at mastering. You know that. You're good at writing, but if you had someone else to work on those things, outsource it. Outsource it. Spend the $100 or $200 that it would cost to outsource that to someone you trust and that takes care of you. That way, your song is going to sound the best it could possibly be. You're outsourcing that somewhere else where someone is going to spend 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 10 hours doing that for you. Whereas you would have spent, who knows, 20 plus hours working on those things. Instead, you can divert that time you would have taken working on something that you're not all that great at, and you can focus in on the thing that you are good at, production and songwriting. And this goes for the opposite. You know, if you're great at mixing and you're great at mastering, maybe you're not so good at songwriting and production, you can hire someone to produce a song for you. You can do the mixing, you can do the mastering. Add this to whatever field you exactly want to be in as a producer in the industry or whatever. You know, this whole podcast is an advice buffet, so take from it whatever you want. If you want to be streaming on Twitch like Richie from episode 4, and maybe that's your one thing, then that's what you should be focusing on. How can you make automating your Twitch process so everything is very streamlined? You can just work within whatever you're streaming, whether you're doing song feedback like him or you're producing tracks. People also would love to see your workflow. If you're streaming the way you produce tracks and you can produce a track in an hour, people want to see how the hell you can produce a track in an hour. They're interested in that. So many producers spend 10, 15, 20 plus hours working on a track over 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But if they can reduce that 20 hours to 2, wow, the power involved in that. You could release courses on how you do that. There's so many things you could do that could easily make you some money just by showing how you've simplified your process. You've automated things. Some other things that you can outsource for tasks are to assistants and interns. Now, this one's probably going to cost you some money, but only do it if you don't have enough time. If you've got your workflow completely organized, you've got it to where it's like you've got key bindings for everything, you've saved as much time as you can, but there's still non-essential tasks that you can't get rid of, that if you got rid of, you could spend more time doing what you want. That's when assistants or interns would come in. And interns is an interesting one for us as producers. If you can get a college intern that's interested in electronic music or an assistant and tell them, hey, you know, I can't pay you right now, but what I can do is teach you everything I know. I can go through tracks with you. I can mix your track for you. I can help produce your track. I can master your track. I can do these things for you, where I'm taking time out of my day to help you, but I'm going to need some help from you answering emails or sending tracks to record labels or promoters, talking to promoters. Whatever it is you need your intern or assistant to do as a producer, have them do. Maybe it's update your website. Maybe you need them to work on ads for you because you're running ads because you're selling a sample pack or a sound pack or a course you've designed. Whatever it is, they can take these non-essential tasks that you don't want to spend your time on, and maybe they have more of a developed skill, especially if they're a college kid, especially if they're involved in a marketing degree or something like that. They could definitely help you out with sales or ads. But the point is you can outsource these things to assistants or interns, and they can get all this stuff done for you. That way you can focus more on whatever it is that you're trying to do. Maybe you need to work on your website, but there's a million other non-essential things that need to be done. Might be time to get an assistant if you're making significant enough money and, you know, your time is kind of held up in something else. Or just working on projects for clients. All the follow-ups. You need an assistant to follow up for you. Send invoices, collect money, whatever it is that needs to be done that you don't have the time to spend on because you're working on maybe client relationships or you're working on a track. The point is get those non-essential tasks out of your flow. They don't need to be in there. They can be automated, outsourced, simplified. Tim Ferriss goes into this side of thing with virtual assistants in the 5-Hour Workweek. Highly recommend that book if you're looking to simplify your life, do what you want when you want, and work minimal hours. Very good book for this type of topic. He talks about virtual assistants, which are basically assistants that are overseas in India, and you can hire them for like $4 or $5 an hour. Super cheap. With most of those virtual assistant websites, though, you have to pay per month. So let's say you need them to work 10 hours a week for you or 4 hours a week for you. You would pay for that full month of however many hours collected it would be. And sometimes it's like $200 to $400. But you have them. And if you have enough tasks for them to do, super easy, quick thing to do. That's it for today, guys. I highly recommend you look into some of these topics we talked about, especially the automation ones. Get AutoHotkey if all you have is Windows. If not, get Better Touch Tool for Mac. Automate the non-essential things. Automate the things that you repetitively do every single day that just hitting a couple keys, it'll trigger the sequence of events that get done within seconds. Granted, if you're exporting something, you have to wait for the export and the upload, but take those factors out, and if you can do something that normally takes 30 seconds in 2 seconds, the amount of time you'll save is unbelievable. As always, head to Facebook, join the Facebook group, Electronic Dance Money Community, subscribe to the show, rate it, review it, share it with a friend. Head to enviousaudio.com/episode 18, and I'll see you guys next time.